and welcome to Open Line. I'm Starlene Stringer. Well, the organization known today as Irving Cares started over a half-century ago when a group of compassionate and concerned neighbors banded together to help people in need. On this edition of Open Line, we'll learn how Irving Cares continues to provide a lifeline for Irving residents in need. Our special guests are Kyle Taylor, CEO, and Mary Shelton with Irving Cares. Also joining the panel is Ashley McIver with the Communities Foundation of Texas. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Well, as CEO, I know you're really trying to lead the organization into the future, but let's go back and talk a bit about the past. I'm going to go there first. For viewers who may not already know the history of Irving Cares, can you share that with us?
Yeah, so we were founded in 1957. Had a tornado come through, did some damage in the city, and some concerned citizens got together because they started seeing folks were having a hard time getting information and food, and so they got together, started meeting at Bowie Junior High as a way to try to find and help those residents. And they got so much satisfaction and so much enjoyment out of helping those residents that they decided, you know, we're going to continue to fight hunger in this city and help those families that are in an immediate crisis. And so from that humble beginning to 1957, we have grown to what we are today, continuing to focus on those families in Irving that are in crisis and getting the help to them that they need.
You're doing a great job. It's been several years. I have to ask you, if you could pick out one thing, your greatest success over the past decade, what would that be?
I think our greatest success for the past decade is being able to continue developing those relationships and maintaining those relationships with the residents and the citizens of Irving. It's been a pleasure and a joy to work in an organization where the city and the residents really do care about their neighbors. They understand that their neighbors are sometimes going to go through crisis, but they're really willing to step up every year and support us, whether it's with their time as volunteers, their treasures of money, or their talent to come in and serve as volunteers and help us get through what we need to do. That's been the biggest satisfaction for me, is to see the different generations to come in. We have had a record number of Irving Independent School District kids come down and volunteer with us, and have started really understanding and taking on that idea of giving back to my community is very, very important. We've seen a growth in our corporate volunteers coming and helping us. So that's been the biggest enjoyment for me, has been being able to see the town that I was born and raised in be able to come together and give back in an organization like Irving Cares over the last 60 years. So that's been the biggest enjoyment for me.
It's definitely a special thing. Now, Mary Shelton is the career and financial coach with the organization, and let's just focus on recent years. What would you say is the greatest impact Irving Cares has had in recent years?
In recent years, I think it's our partnership with Communities Foundation of Texas and create an Invest in Yourself program. It's a great program that is actually helping us to help Irving residents become self-sufficient, but to totally become self-sufficient with the partnerships we have in the community with companies and with Irving ISD, North Lake, and all of that. So that's a big impact and a lot that we're able to give back to the community.
Wonderful. And we're going to go back and explore a little deeper and get more information in just a few minutes, but just giving us the big picture, the big plan, what are your goals for moving Irving Cares into the next decade?
So for the longest time, we've always been considered a basic needs organization. We've done a really good job of taking care of when that person comes to us in crisis, to getting them, to pick them up and dusting them off and kind of getting them back on their way. So we've done a really good job with the basic needs part of it. Where I'm hoping and seeing us that we're going to go in the future is we're going to continue that basic needs process, but we're going to add and start building a foundation for our residents now. Those that want to come in and work on education, work on certification, trying to get to a better paying job. Our goal really now is to get those folks not just picked up and dusted off, but also get them to where they are empowered and self-sufficient, to where hopefully they don't need to come to us, to where we can get them to where they can pay their own bills, we can improve their credit scores. The financial coaches are starting to do a lot of work now with folks on financial education. One of the biggest things that we see people coming in is understanding how to balance a budget, understanding what cash flow is. So we're taking this time that we're spending with them, taking it much more of a relationship approach as opposed to transactional, something that I always call it, to where we're going to sit down and stop. What are the 3 things that you want as individual to help you get to where you need to go, and spend time with them, helping them get to those goals. And through our relationship with Community Foundation that we've been working on for the last 3 years, we've gotten to the point now where we're starting to implement that program. And it's causing us, we're changing, we'll continue to do what we do, but we're changing and becoming much more much more of a holistic, much more of a relationship approach with our customers now.
Wonderful, and I'm glad you brought up that relationship because I understand it is critical for the future growth of Irving Cares. So I want to come to you now, Ashley, and ask you about that. Some people may not be familiar with Communities Foundation of Texas. What exactly is it?
So yes, it's definitely a public foundation. Public charity, rather, I guess you could say. And our ultimate goal is to convene and educate the community, hopefully with the mind of giving back to the things that are most important to the individual. We do that in several different ways. Most people know us through North Texas Giving Day. That is our largest giving day of the nation. Over last year, we raised $38 million in 19 hours. So that's usually what people know us for. But ultimately, from our lens, our goal is to educate the larger community on the key issues and barriers and challenges that the marginalized populations are encountering, hopefully with the ultimate goal of leveraging our knowledge and best practices that happen across the nation to have ultimately more effective, efficient programs. And so that's ultimately our goal, and that's the work that we're doing here in Irving with Irving Cares, along with about 18 other agencies across DFW, specifically implementing the Working Family Success Model.
So what exactly, you said specifically, what are you doing with Irving Cares?
So Irving Cares is a part of a cohort of 8 additional agencies they go through. We've committed 3 years of funding to help them build the capacity in order to help integrate their services, more so streamlining and being more effective and basically data driven with the things that they are doing. So specifically, they meet monthly with a cohort of about 20 different people from 8 agencies, as I mentioned. And so we work on things like understanding your data, things about human-centered programming, where we're thinking about the barriers that their clients face and helping them think through how are the current services and programs actually impeding the success of the clients and how it's structured. We're working on things such as their client flow. So really thinking through the steps that each client has to go through, whether it's not having to go to appointment to appointment, but actually valuing the time of each client to make sure that we optimize every experience and every touch that they have with the client, and making sure that it's dignifying and it's worth that they're getting exactly what they need, whether that's a job, leveraging their reputation, their great reputation here in Irving with employers, to say having conversations with employers about the wages that they have. So just helping people challenge their traditional way of thought of, as far as social work, transactional, as Kyle said, but more relational, and helping the clients to understand that they're going to be with them for the long term, and that this is not something that just is going to happen overnight, but it's going to take, to Kyle's point, the whole community to help these clients and these people get to the sustainable, secure life that they hope.
I'm glad you pointed out that it's not something that happens overnight, because Kyle, y'all have already been working together for about 3 years, is my understanding.
Yeah, we started working on this program about 3 years ago, kind of because it's a big change for us. It's a really, shift in how we have always kind of done the work that we do. It's kind of, it's changed, but we've added another layer of service. And so 3 years we've been talking about this. We've been looking at how it fits into what we do. Was it the right move for us to make for a while? The biggest thing was getting staff. We had done things one way for so long that getting and having conversations with staff about, do we do this? Does it fit? Does it make sense? How do you feel about this? So a lot of this process is really staff driven. I'm very proud of my staff, because once we got over kind of the initial fears, and we went through some stuff about talking about change, Communities Foundation does a really good job of, okay, agencies, slow down for a minute and let's talk about the change you're fixing to go to. But it's stuff that we can take back to our customers as well to talk about the change. So as we started going through this process, we started realizing that there were ways that we were doing things that we could do better. There were ways that we could free up more time, when she talks about being efficient, to allow us to build more relationships with places who do education, with places who do some form of a certification, job leads, things that we really needed to do to get our folks over that hump to get to self-sufficiency. So as we worked through this 3-year process, a lot of conversations, a lot of concerns, a lot of deciding if we're going to continue this. But what it's really allowed us to do is to really have kind of a layered approach. We know we're always going to have those folks that come to us and all they want to do is get their food for that day,
right,
and they want to go. We always want to take care of them as well. But now we're starting to have these conversations with folks like, man, I really want to get a better paying job. I don't know how to do a resume. I can't get I always got to come and ask y'all for rent or get my utilities paid. How can I better budget my money? The other thing that we're seeing a lot of and we're starting to work on now is credit scores. We have a lot of customers who come to us who don't know what their credit score is, don't know how credit impacts them. Through the training through Communities Foundation of Texas with my staff, the staff is now able to sit down and work through and give some tools, some different ways of looking at budgeting and credit approach and how to spend your money to get them closer and better to self-sufficiency. It's a beautiful bundled approach to where it's not so siloed. We were siloed for a long time doing great work, but it was siloed. This bundled approach allows us to really get into each individual customer to solve their needs and what they need to be self-sufficient.
Wonderful.
It's the right direction for us to go for the city.
Sounds like it for sure. And Ashley, I want to come back to you because there's a holistic approach and then there's a transactional approach. How do they differ?
Oh, vastly. I mean, I think it's a matter of the old adage of giving someone the fish or teaching them how. And I think that's you can't say it anything better than that. It's long term. It's taking them and letting them lead, and you walking alongside of them. The transactional is, to Kyle's point, there will be and there will always be transactional services that will happen and are necessary for the needs. There are people who come in and decide, hey, you know what, I had a bump in the road, I just need food. That's it. Great. And you guys do a great job of meeting that need. And there are other agencies across the city and this community that meet those needs. You have your food pantries. That's transactional in our terms of just meeting that need. There's no long-term relationship. This approach is long-term. This is saying, hey, not only can we give you food, but we can also give you a better job. We can give you training. If you currently have a job but you're underpaid, we can hopefully give you some better skills that can give you a higher wage. Hopefully, when you get stable, you'll come back and say, hey, I would like to buy a house. That along the journey, that's the goal. Is saying, this is your vision. This is your vision for your life. I would like to take a vacation with my family. How can I save? Those are the type of things that, Mary is really great at helping them create that vision for themselves and helping them walk along to get to there.
Yeah, kind of what Ashley's talking about, giving them fish and then teaching them how to fish. The way I look at it, right, is we're now teaching them how to fish, but we're giving them the right rod, the right reel, and the right tackle to be able to catch the fish I need to catch. So I kind of look at it as a little bit more of a kind of one step above what kind of just that old saying of, well, you want to teach them how to fish. Well, yeah, we're teaching them how to fish, but we're teaching them what bait, what tackle to use, what bait to use, what rod and reel to use, where to go to find it. Because, we've been able to start doing some job fairs now that we've had some little bit more time to be able to manage our schedules a little bit better, to be able to set up some job fairs. We're going out to more employers and able to have employers come to us and do on-site job fairs. So we're able to get hired and people hired immediately on the spot with a living wage involved. That adage of transactional is here's a list of things you could do, go, nice talking to you, to now it's like, you tell me the 3 things you want, I'm going to partner with you and I'm going to walk with you to get to the goals. It's going to be better for us in the long run. It's better for our community in the long run. This is the right direction for us to go.
So it sounds like this bundled approach is actually going to improve your overall services.
The bundled approach will improve our overall services. It's made us smarter on what kind of services we provide and how we lay it out. When we listen to the coaches meet once a week and just talk about it, you talk all the time with each other about, I heard about this, did you hear about this, I tried this and this worked with this person, so that each one of them are taking their best practices kind of underneath this umbrella and improving each other's best practices as they discover newer things or things that come to light to us as we do this more bundled approach.
I see. And so, Mary, how do you think these changes will affect your clients going forward?
As we look at it now, it's very positive because we do have those companies that have living wage. And as coaches, we've all cross-trained. So either of us can do, whether it's education, training, rent, utilities. So because we've taken the time to cross-train and we've gone through this training, now we can offer everything to the same customer. I mean, to each customer, they get the same opportunities. And it's up to them if they take it or not, but right now, the response has been overwhelming. Because the ones that are in the program are so excited. and they want to tell you everything, and we do document it. So, I mean, and that's great just to hear the successes. What someone would think is small is a milestone for them, and it's something they accomplished on their own. I talked to a lady yesterday, and she was saying at her job she was able to save $1,200, and it was just great. She was like, so when she saved it, and then she had an emergency that came up, and she was like, I had the money. She's like, I had saved $1,200 for an emergency. That is awesome. You know, this is someone who when I met her about 6 months ago, she didn't have a job. She was looking for a job, and then I referred her to one of our community partners, and she's working, and it was a great base salary plus incentives. And so she's just in a really good place right now.
Sounds like it for sure. Yeah. Kyle, I want to come back to you for just a second because
okay.
I know you guys have a lot of people who really support Irving Cares in a big way throughout the community. Corporate support as well as groups getting involved. They hold food drives and all other kinds of things. So can you talk about the partnerships and how they really help Irving Cares accomplish their mission?
The partnerships, we couldn't do without our partnerships. Even if it's just a corporate group coming out to help us in our food pantry. Many of the faith-based groups, you know, we're a line item in their budgets now. Many of them have moved, have gone to do other things for their congregation, and as a line item for us, you know, we're able to take when their parishioners, their folks who worship in their house need food or need rent, they can refer them to us, and we can take care of that. We have a great partnership with the Irving Independent School District. Today, we have a classroom. You know, we had 12 people in the classroom today taking a GED class. We're able to kind of work with as those folks go through and they finish that GED preparation, start talking to one of our coaches, and we can help. We will pay for their GED exam, and that's a big burden to a lot of people. Is how I'm going to go through all this work and I get to there. How can I afford the $145 exam that's coming up? So the partnerships are the partnerships are key to what we do. Partnerships are how we do it. The other thing that we're starting to see now is when we get our corporate groups and we're able to stop down and have conversations. What are you looking for an entry-level position? What skills do you need? How can we help get folks to you? Great example, there's a corporate partner out there that has hired 3 of our folks to come work their local business here, to come work inside their business because of their relationship and they know the way that the job training we're able to provide for those individuals. And then they've gone to that company to work in an entry-level position to get hired, and they're still there. Nice. So it's a really nice win-win because what we're able to do is our local companies and organizations have a place where they can come and spend time and give back. Then we can refer our folks to them. Through their time with us, they vetted Irving Cares and knows the quality and type of work that we do. So they know the folks that we're sending them would be good fits for them because Mary and the rest of the coaches spend time with each one of those employers and those community partners, making sure they understand what their need, what their culture is. So we're able to provide those opportunities for those folks who come and work with us, our customers come work with us. So without our partnerships, I don't know, you know, it'd be really tough for us to be able to do. And the other thing is the funding. Is those corporate partners and those corporate groups that sponsor us, whether it's the Great Harvest or just, you know, sending us a check, and Aaron said, use this to pay for rents and use this to pay for rents. And we've got a number of corporate partners. Their employees have used us before, either to pay for a utility bill or to cover rent or buy groceries. So it's a great partnership. It's a win-win for the community.
Sounds like it. Mary, I want to come back to you for a minute because I know there's a new initiative called Invest in Yourself. Yes. Can you tell us about that program?
The Invest in Yourself program is part of the Work and Family Success under Communities Foundation. And the whole concept of it is as the individuals come, as they invest in themselves, Irving Cares is going to walk with them on that journey. So on that journey, they come to an orientation. We're able to assist them with the resume piece. We talk to them on self-care, budgeting, credit. They can sign up to meet with the coach after the class, or they can schedule it for a later time. Then we start the goals Kyle was talking about. We talk to them about what do they want to do, how can we help them on this journey. And they give us 3 initial short-term goals and 3 initial long-term goals. And that's when the ball starts rolling, because from that point forward, we're with them on this journey, however long they will allow us. So some are a year. There's some that started 6 months ago, and we're still with them. And the great thing is that they call and we meet, and they let us know what's going on. But we're able to walk with them on this journey, whether they need rent, utilities, education assistance. Like Kyle said, they have great jobs. They might want a certification in something. We help them with that. So it's really up to them. They tell us what they need help with, and then we find a way to make it happen. And that makes their journey much easier.
I heard Kyle say, and childcare. Yeah.
And
as a mama, you hear
childcare.
that, and
Yes.
childcare.
And the childcare piece, we were able to do it like as they're looking for a job. We work with almost, I think about 95% of the daycares in Irving. So as they are looking for a job, if they have a week blocked for interviews, we're going to pay for that week of childcare. That way they don't have to worry about who's going to keep the children, am I going to be on time? The children are secured. When they start work, we can do another 2 weeks. So right now we're doing up to 4 weeks of childcare. If they're invested in the program, invest in yourself, and they come and they meet with their coaches, these are some of the incentives that they are privy to.
Those are great incentives. Ashley, what would you say are some of the advantages of a program like this? I mean, there's all kinds of great things that she's already mentioned, but there's a lot of advantages that people may not be aware of they could take advantage of.
Oh, absolutely. I think about from an organizational standpoint, I think you can't omit the experience of doing this work together. It's hard work. It's hard work and it's long term, right? And there's value in best practices. So that's where we were able to come in. We learned from our fellow funders across the nation about things that they were doing in their communities and what we need to do to bring into our communities. I think the cohort model, is so essential for this peer learning to be able to do best practices. No organization is the same, no community is the same, and so the nuance that it takes to execute on something like this is super important. There's other values for the client. I think it's the understanding, to your point of working in a vacuum or a silo, is that, my time is valuable. It benefits me for you guys to be efficient, because then that way I can spend more time with my family, I can spend more time working or studying or whatever it may be. It behooves each organization to be efficient, effective, and then that, as a result, will get our clients the results we want, which is to be economically secure and stable.
Then tagging onto that, the key also is going to be the data that we collect. We're going to be able to have a really good, as we go through this process, the things that we see and the things that we're working on and what's successful for us, we could take it to our cohort partners and say, this is what we're seeing, what are you seeing in your community? Well, we're seeing something completely different. So it allows us to kind of collect our data, kind of have a regional approach of community services and what's kind of needed in the community and what you're seeing, because things have a tendency to change sometimes in our environment. Right now, childcare is one of the biggest roadblocks that people have for a long time. A couple of years ago was transportation, that people did not have reliable transportation to get to and from their work, their interviews. We were seeing people, and it's that last 2 miles. So we've been able to have conversations through this and through work with community foundations. Mayor Mike Rawlings of Dallas did a presentation about what they were seeing at the city of Dallas, and one of the things that came up was that last 2 mile talk about getting from the DART station to your home or from the DART station to your employer. And so Communities Foundation was able to come back and put the data together to be able to help us work on getting some ideas and some transportation goals and models to get that last 2 miles taken care of, to eliminate another roadblock to people getting to self-sufficiency. So the data is a big part, the cohort conversation is a big part, and then the ability to be able to change and really get into understanding what each individual's crisis and need is. When you're siloed, you're very much just a cookie cutter approach.
I see. Yeah, there's a lot of great things that Irving Cares is doing. Everyone knows about the food pantry and they love that and how that works. But I want to talk about the awards you've received. Don't be shy. I know you don't want to brag on yourselves, but we want you to. People should know about all the awards you've received over the years.
Oh gosh. So let's see. For many, many years, we've been a 4-star charity navigator based upon how we handle our money and our fiduciary responsibility. For the last 2 years in a row, we've earned the Greater Irving Los Colinas Chamber of Commerce best nonprofit in Irving. Last year, we won an award. What I'm very proud of is we won North Texas Food Bank Partner Agency of the Year. The Partner Agency of the Year award from North Texas Food Bank is something where they have 238 agencies that they work with, and they considered Irving Cares for that year to be their best partner on the things that we did for our community. At that point in time, we were helping the Schools Foundation with their backpack program, helping the schools pick up their backpacks and running them to school so the teachers and counselors could stay in their classrooms. Some of those initiatives with fresh fruit that we've done. The Fruit Guys, which is an organization out of Florida, has awarded us the ability to pick up large amounts of fresh produce and fresh fruit, which is our #1 requested item on our food surveys. So our awards are just a testament to what we do. They're a testament to what the community thinks of us. And it's really good because it's another challenge. Okay, what are we going to win next year? So, we've won something from Keep Irving Beautiful. We won something from the Irving Islamic Center as an partner agency. So those awards mean a lot to us. It means what we're doing is right. It also means the community trusts us and believes in us, and that's one of the most important things.
It definitely is important, and so is money. And so, Mary, I want to talk to you about that and fundraising, because to keep organizations like this going, people, you have to do fundraisers, you have to raise money, and people trust organizations that have that 4-star rating like y'all do, and so they want to help out and give. Can you tell us about some of your fundraising efforts?
That's going to be
Kyle says, I'll take that.
The biggest one is, of course, is always our Great Harvest. We're due September 20th of this year at the Irving Convention Center. It's called a swinging affair. It's going to be kind of a throwback to a Las Vegas style dinner party. Betsy Lowe Freeman is our chair again this year. That's our biggest fundraising event that we do for the year. A lot of that money raised goes to general operations. Something that we do in the summer with our corporate groups is we do what's called Summer Squeeze. And we do a food drive challenge. We send down and ask corporations of different sizes, kind of put them in a group and say, please come help the lonely can syndrome. The lonely can, because during the summer when the schools are out and the kids aren't getting the meals they need, we see a really big uptick in the need for families in our food pantry. So the canned food drives allow us Summer Squeeze is a way for us to collect the needed canned goods non-perishables that we need from the corporations. And kind of it's a twofold deal. Yeah, it helps us fill up our food pantry, but the other thing is it allows us to slide some of our general operating money back over to pay for more rents, more child care, more utility. So it's when we're doing our fundraising events like Summer Squeeze and that comes in and corporations bring 2,000 and 3,000 pounds of food, well that food offsets costs that we're able to do to go ahead and go back and pay for more rents and more child care that folks need. So those are our two biggest ones. We've got some other stuff we're starting to create now tied to Invest in Yourself, and you'll see more detail about that on our website coming soon.
Wonderful. And so there are people right now watching and they want to know if they can be a sponsor. Are there still sponsorship opportunities
Sponsorships are available. You can go to irvingcares.org, go to the website, there's a little button that says donate, and there's a button that says the Great Harvest, and you can go to either one of those two sites. You can sponsorship with the Great Harvest, or you can just make a donation. And one of the really cool things we have is we have a virtual food drive site where you can actually go in and grocery shop, pick up your canned tuna, your milk, toilet paper, which is a necessity in a food pantry. Buy those items in a shopping cart, and you can pay for it that way. It sends us that list, and we go out and take your money and procure it at one of our local retail stores.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all of you being here and for answering all these questions today.
Wow.
Keep doing a great job.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're so welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for watching. I'm Starlene Stringer. Please be sure to join us for the next edition of Open Line. That's Thursday, June 6th at 1:30 p.m. We'll see you then.